Welcome back to Kings of Pawns. It's your boy Troy. I got another installment for you where we're going to be linking up these eye-opening wonders of the world. You know, it's kind of early. Hope you guys are having a great day, evening, or night. But we're going to pop this off for those who are religious and don't believe a word I'm saying. Take it from someone that you know.
I've been a preacher for more than 30 years. I've studied and taught through the book of Genesis many times in churches all around the world. And I've trained pastors in the skills of interpreting texts. And it's very clear they're not stories about gods. They're stories about the powerful ones in the Bible and the sky people, the Anunnaki, in the Sumerian tablets. The symbology is all there that suggests that these advanced beings, these sky people in the distant past, arrived in what you and I would call an invasion. There is a light and a shade in many of the world's ancient stories of contact. The Hebrew Bible recalls the arrival of what it calls the Tzeva Hashemayim, the sky armies. Before we get into today's content, on behalf of the Fifth Kind TV, I want to say a big thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring today's content.
Get paid, bro.
Surfshark is a VPN that allows us all to become citizens of the world through online access. If you're like me, you'll enjoy watching online content from countries all around the world.
Get your coffee,
but
get
I live
your
in
snacks
Australia,
or whatever. This about to
and
be a
what
long one.
I'm shown in
About an
internet
hour,
searches
some change.
will be different to what you're shown in Canada, America, the Philippines, Germany, the Netherlands, or wherever you're watching from. By using Surfshark, I'm able to access a world of online content and see all the things that you see and many other things beside. Surfshark enables us to become citizens of the world through online availability. Get fully protected. Follow the link in the description, sign up and use the promo code FIFTHKIND to receive an 85% discount. Plus, you'll get 3 months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you try it and you don't like it, you can easily cancel your subscription and receive a full refund.
Now y'all heard he was a pastor,
With
right?
Surfshark, you can swim
Listen
under
to
the
what-
radar
listen to what
in
he's
the
about to
sea
drop.
of online content.
One simple but brilliant trick to heat your home in
he's
90
still getting
seconds
paid.
and save thousands of dollars on
Get
your
paid,
heating
bro.
bill this winter.
For thousands of years, in ancient art, oral tradition, and ancient texts, human beings have told stories of visitors from the stars. The progenitors in the Guatemala Maya story of the Popol Vuh, the Anuna of the Sumerian cuneiform tablets,
Pins and pads, y'all.
Oannes and the Abkalu of Babylonian story, the ancient flying kings of the Vedas, the mysterious helpers of the Mohawk and Cherokee people of North America and the Yolngu people of Australia's Northern Territory, Dagon of the Philistines, Yahweh, Asherah, and the Elohim of the Bible. All these narrative traditions speak of times when our ancestors were helped, advanced, exploited, or colonized by visitors from other regions of space: Sirius, Orion, and the Pleiades. In 2021, the Pentagon provided the US Senate with a briefing paper concerning the modern phenomenon of UFOs, or UAPs, according to official reports of close encounters experienced by US military, Air Force, and naval units. It reported that US defense activities are interfered with by UAPs, or UFOs, on average, once every 6 weeks. But why are they here? What do they want? On July 26, 2023, the US Congress House Oversight Subcommittee held a hearing in which it heard sworn testimony from 3 key witnesses under oath: David Fravor, Ryan Graves, and David Grush, concerning the compartmentalization of information within the US military intelligence community regarding ET contact. David Grush had filed a complaint,
Look him up.
which the Inspector General of the intelligence community had found to be urgent and credible, questioning the legality by which certain units within the military intelligence community were withholding information about ET contact from other units within the community. Now, he was tasked and had authority within the Pentagon and congressional authority to survey what information was now available through the program. Now, since 2019, the Pentagon has acknowledged the presence of the program, which is the program to reverse engineer materials retrieved from UFO crashes. So what we're talking about is ET contact and ET technology. David Grush is challenging the legality by which that information is withheld from the public, the Congress, and even from other units within the intelligence community. And if you listen to the questioning of Congressman Tim Burchett and Andy Ogles, it's easy to see what Congress's concern is. Their concern is that if there is a national security threat, if there is an existential threat hanging over the United States of America, Congress ought to be allowed to know.
Is that why our visitors are here? Is planet Earth being scouted and surveilled? Are we being prepared for invasion?
My books are about paleocontact. That's the theory that our ancestors had contact with other civilizations in the deep past. And my sources are the world's canon of indigenous and ancestral narratives. And I argue that if we go to those sources, the picture that emerges of the contact we're experiencing is a far more layered picture. If you go to the Sumerian stories, for instance, we have the narratives of Enlil and Enki, and that's a story of dark and shade, of different agendas, of some being here for purely strategic reasons because they want control of this region of space, and others here because they're interested in humanity and want a positive relationship with the human race. We have the story in the Babylonian canon of Oannes and the Apkallu, in which you've got a light and a shade. There's an intervention that helps humanity to ascend and progress.
My bad, y'all.
At the same time, all these means of management and control are introduced as well. So it's a far more layered picture. If you go not to the oral canon or the written canon, but to the artistic canon of those same cultures, you will find those same dual layers going on in the images. On the one hand, they are there towering over the human beings, and clearly with advanced capabilities, airborne technology, spacefaring technology, advanced weaponry. But on the other hand, they're often portrayed as carrying that little bowl of knowledge, which possibly represents advanced science, medication, and offering the pine cone, which is a symbol of the activation of higher cognitive functions. And so these carvings suggest an intervention that is for the benefit of the human race, that enables us to progress, to become more intelligent, more conscious, more technological. Yet at the same time, the symbology is all there that suggests that these advanced beings, these sky people in the distant past, arrived in what you and I would call an invasion.
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars?
I don't
it's
know.
It's actually not what you think. They make a special kind of money known as royalty.
There is a light and a shade in many of the world's ancient stories of contact. The Hebrew Bible recalls the arrival of what it calls the Tseva Hashemayim, the sky armies. It speaks of the Keli Mashato and the Keli Mapaso, advanced weaponry for ethnic cleansing. Similarly, Norse mythology
The Vedic annals of the kings, Sumerian and biblical narratives all speak of violence and warfare.
It's time to wake up,
among their
y'all.
respective powerful ones. There is a dark side, even to the story of our ancient helpers. In the Babylonian story of Oannes, we have the recollection of the arrival of people who looked bizarre to our Mesopotamian ancestors. They were described as extraordinary monsters, and yet they were honored for having introduced humanity to advanced technology. They taught civil engineering, sanitation, medication. They introduced the human race to all the accoutrements of denser living, city living. They introduced mathematics, record keeping, money systems, banks, legal systems, all the accoutrements of a sophisticated, specialized civilization. But there's kind of a double layer to that story as well, because on the one hand, this is a phenomenal leap forward for human beings on planet Earth. Yet the introduction of all those things changes a lot to do with our social order. With that denser living comes the privatization of land, and so land rights, which is really the power to live on the land, is extracted from the grassroots and is now managed and controlled. With a money system, you have those who issue the money and those who must now work for money, because they can't support themselves off the land, they have to work for money.
Right.
And so you have the hierarchy of those who issue the money and those who work for the money. The legal system means you've now got a hierarchy of those who create and police the laws and those who have to keep them. And so there's a stratification of society that comes with that intervention of Oannes and the Apkallu. And you can hear that echoed in the ancient Hawaiian story of the Mo'o, the Ahumanu. In the ancient world of Anatolia and Armenia, stories are told of an advanced being called Haldi. Just as Oannes is associated with authorities in space or authorities in the heavens, so Haldi, or Hake as he is also known, is associated with another region of space, Orion. Orion is one of 3 regions of space which keep cropping up in ancestral narratives all around the world, and they are Orion, Sirius, and the Pleiades. Now, the stories that emerge from the Pleiades are universally positive. They are to do with helpful interventions. They are angelic stories. They are helpers. They're beautiful people. Stories from Sirius, also helpful. Stories from Orion, also helpful, but a little more layered. Haldi from Orion is associated with advancement and ascension. He carries a bowl of higher science and medication. He's offering the pine cone of ascension and higher cognitive powers, but he's always associated with weaponry. And his very name, Haldi, means taken or conquered. I think if a being is remembered by the name the Conqueror, we can safely say his arrival was an invasion. Ethiopia is home to the world's longest continuous unchanged canon of the books of the Bible. It contains the Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch can be found swiftly summarized in Genesis 6 and is quoted from in the New Testament Book of Jude. Both the Old Testament and New Testament writers assume the reader is familiar with the Book of Enoch. It repeats the ancient Sumerian story of observers from the stars, breaking ranks for some shore leave, and creating hybrid children.
Are we the
human
hybrid children?
females.
Leave your comments.
The British Empire, in its days of colonization, would talk about the problem of officers of the empire getting too close to the natives. And from time to time, an officer of the British Empire would get too close to the locals, would fall in love with the local culture, would fall in love with a local woman, would get married and have a family. That person was said to have gone native. And it was really seen as a rather offensive breach of the proper order of things, in which the British were there to maintain control,
It's like
not
Avatar.
to fraternize with the locals. And that sense of taboo is exactly what's there in the Book of Enoch. The observers are there to observe, not to fraternize, and it creates this appalling stink among the powerful ones, the overseers, that this fraternization has occurred. They should not be having families with the locals. Now, the question here is exactly what these observers were. How is it possible that people could come from outer space and start hybridizing with human beings? Well, this takes us back to the theory of panspermia, and that is that all life in the cosmos is essentially related, that the genetic coding which produces biological, intelligent, conscious life is part of the property of the cosmos just as much as the properties of gravity and the properties of light. And this was a theory championed by Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of the double helix of DNA. He argued that the timelines for planet Earth were simply not long enough for the forms of life with which we're familiar to have developed here. There has to be a longer timeline to life in the cosmos.
I've been getting paid $30,000 a month, if not more.
Leave your comments.
Let me show you. Here,
I would like to know
I have a
what you
check
think
for
about that.
$775.
That was very, very
This
interesting.
One for $2,775.
Very, very interesting. We want to
And
continue.
this one for
But if you like this
$4,000.
content and would like
Basically,
to see
all I have
more
to do
content
is to find
of
a
where I'm
trend,
just
and regardless
bringing
if the
you
market is going
eye-opening
up or down, I get paid.
presentations
The best part is
to help
this
you
can be
unfold
done
your mind,
23
help you
hours a
open
day,
your third eye,
6
help you
days a
wake
week.
up.
So a busy schedule is no
Hit
excuse.
the like button.
There's no need
Hit
to
the
buy and
subscribe.
sell individual stocks.
Share this with
or
somebody.
even
If
follow
you
what
notice
the public
information
companies are
already,
doing in the news.
share it
I
with
first
someone
learned how to do this
that you know
5 years
that
ago
don't know
from my
nothing about
mentor.
this.
He was
The reason why I'm
trading
doing
for
this
just a
is
few
because when I
hours a
do
day,
my research
and he was
and I try to
making
talk to
even
people,
more money than I
they're looking
was
at me like I got
as a full-time
30 heads.
engineer, working
So,
60 hours a week.
get your pens
So
and
I saw
pads.
this and I said,
This
I
information
could do
is
that.
researchable
Then I started doing this.
on
and in a
everything
few
that I'm
months,
doing,
I
everything
was
that you're
able to quit
seeing.
my job
It's all
and have so
researchable.
much more free
Take the time,
But
do
I
your
taught this to
due
my friend Doug,
diligence,
and now he's living his dreams life
and
too.
see that
Putting everything together,
you're not crazy, you're just waking
understanding
up.
that there's a step process.
So in that sense, anyone who visits us is part of a wider cosmic family. Now that's interesting because in 2009, when the Roman Catholic Church held its colloquium about the theological implications of contact with other civilizations, the spokespeople for the Pope, Benedict XVI of the day, were very careful to use the language of wider cosmic family, of brother or sister aliens. And so the hint is there that the company that we're keeping, that we've not been told about, is company rather more similar to ourselves than we might expect. It's the same genetic coding, after all, throughout the cosmos, which whenever it lands in an hospitable environment will generate forms of life similar to the ones with which we're familiar. So if we start applying the modern language of DNA manipulation and gene splicing, then perhaps it's not so hard for us to imagine visitors coming for precisely that reason. Stories of hybridization are a testimony which extends all around the world. But the Book of Enoch story goes beyond hybridization to a pattern of rich cultural exchange. When the Book of Enoch talks about this forbidden fraternization that went on, it wasn't just shore leave, there was a cultural exchange. And so human beings were introduced to more advanced foods, to fashion, to makeup, to adornments. It wasn't just the bare bones accoutrements of civilization, it was the accoutrements of culture that were being introduced to the human race. And it sounds like a more enjoyable experience that suddenly the human beings were having, as well as their visitors. The conflict was between those visitors who were getting closer to human beings and those who were saying, no, the rule is no contact, We're here for strategic advantage only. And that conflict is played out in ancestral narratives all around the world.
That sound like
Whether
Avatar.
you're reading Norse story, Greek, Celtic, African, Mesoamerican, Mesopotamian, or biblical. But what is the nature of our contact today? Is human hybridization a part of the phenomenon in the present? When departments of defense around the world talk about human interface, hybridization is what they're talking about. When the US Department of Defense tasked John Mack to assess the credibility of abduction reports filed by officers of US Defense, it was hybridization narratives that dominated. And in my own book, Echoes of Eden, I detail cases of human abduction and hybridization from the deep past, but also from the present, which I show are highly credible.
Well, check that out.
For ancient stories, you could go to Kenya, listen to the Luo people who tell the story of Nyamgod Huwad Umbari, a story of hybridization between a human male and a female who comes from an underwater base. And that element is there in stories all around the world. You can hear it in Wales in the story of Tylwyth Tig. You can go to the Philippines and hear about the Duende in the Encantos. Go to the Caribbean, hear about Yamoya. Go to Ghana, West Africa, hear about the Mamiwata. The elements are all there. There is a covert presence here on planet Earth. They live in underwater bases, and their interest in the human race is hybridization. And they will abduct people from time to time for a period and then return them.
That's Aquaman.
And often they're actually healthier when they come back than they went away. Other than the problem of what to do with their story. Do they tell people? Because this is not the kind of testimony that's going to make your family love you any better or help you get a better job or be taken more seriously by society at large. It is a problem. You are more likely to be medicated or confined if you share that story. And yet it is a part of ancestral narratives that goes back hundreds and maybe thousands of years.
It's real, people.
One of the intriguing notes of those stories is the aspect of underwater bases. And so I pricked up my ears when I realized that in that hearing on the 26th, we are now pursuing a public conversation about all-domain anomaly, about transmedium anomaly. And what that means is visitors with advanced capabilities in space, in the air, and under the water. It is an acknowledgement of anomalies under the water. And if you go back to footage that was captured in 2004, that was authenticated by the Pentagon in 2019, that's what you're looking at. Craft that appear to be headed underwater to some kind of underwater base. The Book of Enoch paints a picture of cultural enrichment through contact with these covert others. The Hebrew figure of Asherah, the Zulu figure of Mbabwana-Warisa, and the Sumerian figure of Shamhat in the Epic of Gilgamesh all sound this note. In the 21st century,
see that blue
the
lady?
Pentagon's language of the program suggests that we might be being enriched with new technological advances derived from ET materials. But are we enriching them? Let me give you an ancient scenario and a modern scenario. The ancient and continuous testimony about abduction for hybridization, the way those stories are told by our ancestors, we are being taken because our visitors find human beings very attractive. There is something very special about Homo sapiens sapiens.
Get moving for Kohl's Cyber Monday active deals. Earn $15 Kohl's Cash for every
Go to the
$50
comments,
spent.
let me
and
know
save
if you think
30%
that
off Under Armour, 25% off Adidas,
are helping them
and
as
25%
they're
off
helping
Nike
us.
gear. Now
In
at
my
Kohl's.
honest opinion, I think they've been helping us because if you look back at least 100,
A group of
over
people
a
were
little,
asked to
little over
project
100
onto a
years,
flask
there
of
was
water,
no airplanes,
love, tenderness, and
TVs, none of
concern.
that crazy shit.
This is water
With all
exposed to
these two-
compassion. The tap water was transformed
A
by
reset.
the gratitude sent by
A
the
reset.
group.
Now,
The
put
imprinted
this in your
sample
pad
clearly
too.
had more photon
There
emission.
has been multiple resets.
People are mostly water.
I'm gonna go.
Food
you know
is
what?
mostly
Next video,
water.
I'm
So
gonna go
if
into
all
the
of these
resets.
things are
Y'all
picking
stay
up
tuned for
our
the resets.
thoughts,
Hit the like button. Hit
what
the
is it
subscribe so
we
you
are
won't miss it.
thinking?
And to express it in modern terms, there's something in our DNA that our visitors want in their gene pool. Now, that might be our animal strength, our mammal emotion, our unique ability for creativity, compassion, imagination, enjoyment. These may be all aspects they want in their own gene pool, or it could be they are looking to establish a longer-term presence with us on planet Earth and need their descendants to have less difficulty on planet Earth than they're having. It could be something like that. But in that sense, what we have is enriching their gene pool. For a contemporary answer, I would go to the testimony of Brigadier General Haim Eshed. He was the man who for 28 years was Israel's chief of space security. So it was his job to know if we were in contact. And in Christmas 2020, he made a public announcement saying, yes, we are in contact. It was his job to know if there is an existential threat hanging over us. And that was not his language at all. He spoke about contact and collaboration that had been going on for more than 7 decades. And beyond our collaboration is an agreement made at the level of covert government that our visitors can continue their programs of research on planet Earth and elsewhere in our solar system. Now, what kind of research might that be? How are we enriching their research? Is it simply the research of observing? This is going back to the Enoch story of the Igigi. They were observers. Is that what they're doing?
This is like
in
a
the
zoo.
same way that we observe and label ducks and put little labels on them and check them out a year later to see where they've been, how they've been feeding, so on and so forth. Are we being observed in that way? Or are our visitors here for other reasons? Ancient stories talk about visitors coming for the minerals that the planet had to offer. Other stories for the energetic resources of the planet. And Haim Eshed didn't go quite into that level of detail in his announcement in Christmas 2020. But the sense is there that there is a benefit to our visitors derived from their presence here. And what's in the deal for us is access to materials which we can then reverse engineer. And what Haim Eshed says the goal is that we should reach the point where we know how to produce materials that have an impact on space-time. The policy of non-disclosure will change once we reach that technological bar. Now that's very interesting, because what Haim Eshed is saying is that the secrecy around the program is really at 2 levels. That our ET visitors are saying, all right, we won't disclose to the human race as a whole until humanity has attained the ability to manipulate space-time, because at that point they become a spacefaring civilization too. They have a seat at the table of spacefaring civilizations rather than they're simply discussed at that table. And in the meantime, we are a covert presence. But that also means that the ball is in the court of our governments, the covert layers involved with the program. Because not only do they have to reverse engineer, they have to decide to announce, we now understand what space is and what spaceships are, which was Haim Eshed's phrase. Once that happens, everything changes, and our relationship with our cosmic neighbors shifts.
They treat us like we stupid.
And the potential from that is enormous, because if we truly have access to that kind of technology, the ability to manipulate space-time. That implies some other things as well to do with zero-point energy and all the economics of our planet which shift. Are we ready for that? I happen to think at the grassroots we really are, but that is the shift that we're waiting for. The idea of reverse engineering ET technology has been there for a long, long time. You can find it in the carvings of the Jaguar dynasty from Mesoamerica, with their portrayals of kings and queens wearing facsimiles of technology. You can find it in the biblical narratives of the Urim and Thummim and Ark of the Covenant, facsimiles of technology which the writers and those they wrote about knew how to represent or recreate in symbolic form, but didn't know how to make work. We are now at a place where minds like Jacques Vallée, Nobel Prize nominee Gary Nolan, and Eric W. Davis are working on materials whose properties have an impact on space-time. So that is what is in the public domain. But how far forward are we behind closed doors? What's been acknowledged by the Pentagon is that the unit for doing that reverse engineering work has been in place for more than 70 years. Brigadier General Herr gave exactly that same time frame, more than 7 decades of covert contact, he said. Now that time frame takes us back into the administrations of Presidents Truman and Eisenhower, and it validates what has been urban legend for a long, long time, that those administrations were aware of contact and were in covert conversations with our visitors. If what the Pentagon is saying today is true, and if what Herr is saying is true, that the contact and collaboration is more than 7 decades old, those urban legends are validated. That time frame would also indicate that it's a very stable arrangement and not one that we should be panicking about with the language of national security or existential threats. But is the stable arrangement one of ET oversight or control? If we are in collaboration with visitors whose technology puts our own in the shade, what is the true dynamic of that relationship? Is Hayam-Ashed's language of collaboration really a polite word for annexation? In other words, have we already been invaded? When I listen to the ancient Hawaiian story of the Mo'o, the Ahumanu, and the Anunu, it suggests that if there is an invasion, which happens at a covert level, there will be signs that something has changed, and the signs will be variously positive and negative. The negative signs will have to do with heightened social control, a battle for money, the centralization of power and the diminution of power.
That's happening right now.
The centralization of access to resources, land, real estate, food, and the atomization of society at the grassroots level, a polarization of people, setting people in competition with one another.
Nah, we waking up.
These are all the signs
Wake up, y'all.
they would say to look for. Now you might say it does not take aliens to do that to human society. All you need is hierarchy for all those dynamics to occur, and that's entirely true. But what the ancestral narratives are saying is if there's a covert takeover, if there is a covert invasion, those are the kinds of signs you should look for.
Most people have no clue that
paid,
in 2023 the best way to make money on Amazon is not with physical products.
The positive sign that you've been invaded by an advanced civilization is a rapid acceleration of technology. And I would suggest in the last 70 years, we certainly have seen that.
Certainly.
Whether we've seen an increase in social control, battle for control of money, centralization of power, centralization of resources.
Talk your shit.
Well, that's a more interesting topic to explore. But our ancestors had a theory as to who the elite of the elite were that would make society shift in those kind of directions. According to Brigadier General Hamish, our visitors from elsewhere in the galaxy have agreed to keep their presence covert and their identity secret until such a time as humanity has a proper understanding of what space is and what spaceships are. What Hamish is saying is that there is a technological bar that when we reach it, our relationship with our observers will change. Now, that's kind of logical, that as soon as we become a spacefaring civilization, we can take our place at the table of spacefaring civilizations. And that was always the language of Ed Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon. Now, he was obviously bound by layers of non-disclosure agreements, official secrets, laws.
Oh, we got to get into that too.
He campaigned tirelessly for the US government to come clean as to what it knew about ET contact and to come clean about what technology we already have access to. He believed we are on the cusp of becoming a spacefaring civilization. Now, when we listen to Hayam Ashed, he identifies this same bar, that when we're able to manipulate space-time, is the implication of what he's saying, that is when everything will change for human beings. Our relationship with our planet and with the cosmos and with our neighbors will change in that moment. And we've heard publicly from Jacques Vallée, Eric Davis, Gary Nolan, regarding the materials that they are examining, which would appear through unique isotopes engineered off-planet, outside of the atmosphere, which have an impact on space-time. Now, that is what we are being told publicly. That's in the public domain. So if that's where we are in the public domain, you have to ask, behind closed doors, how much further forward are we than that? I think this is a time for us to be throwing all our encouragement and all our scrutiny on the companies who are doing the reverse engineering, because this leap forward will be a leap forward for all of us. Everything will change in that moment. And so courageous journalists like Ross Coulthard, I'd love to see them sit down with the executives of Boeing and Northrop Grumman and Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Skunk Works and asking the questions. Now, I dare say they might not be able to say much because they will be bound by official secrets laws. They will have signed layers of NDAs as well. But I think these are the questions we should be asking, because it is those kind of companies in the aerospace world who will make this great leap forward. And it needs to be public. We need to have this understanding in order for the dynamics of our relationship to change with our visitors. And I think we are ready for that. I think at a grassroots level, we are ready for a new kind of economy. I think we've had enough of the battle for money. We've had enough of social control. We've had enough of the centralization of power and the centralization of resources. I think we would love to see a more empowered human race. I think we would love to have the experiences depicted in ancient art, that little bowl or handbag of advanced science and medication, that pine cone of the activation of high intelligence. We're ready for another great leap forward. But for that to happen, this technological bar has to be arrived at, and it has to be arrived at publicly. That is the meaning of the statement of Hayam Ashed made just before Christmas 2020. And that, I believe, is the true importance of the conversations happening right now in Washington about the impasse of information between the Pentagon and Congress. I think we're ready to go from being the species that's discussed at the table of spacefaring civilizations to being seated at that table. And I have an old-fashioned belief in democracy, that it's better for us to know who represents us at that table, what decisions are being made, who's making those decisions and in whose interest. The more light we can throw on the reality of contact today, I think the better for everyone. The narratives of world mythology, indigenous peoples, and ancestral stories all suggest that our ancestors wanted us to have a better human experience than they did. Absent of the social control, the battle over money, the theft of land and resources, the theft of visible power, and the polarization of ordinary people, which had afflicted them in their own generations. If we're on the cusp of another upgrade, I say bring it on. I think when our ancestors spoke about the activation of higher cognitive abilities, it wasn't just so that we could wander around enjoying having superpowers. It was so that we could have a more intelligent relationship with each other, with our planet, with our cosmic neighbors. I think we're ready for that. And if there's a technological bar we have to meet before we can go to the next level, then let us throw all our encouragement. Let's not resent the black budgets that have enabled it. That's not really the issue, that's only money. But let us get there together and let us reach the point where the conversation changes. If we're on the cusp of a different relationship with the cosmos, then let us come together over it. Let us help each other over it. And let us change the conversation for a better human experience.
All right. If you like that segment, do your thing with the fingers and
Thank
the
you for
buttons. Y'all know
watching
what
The
to
Fifth
do.
Kind TV.
It's free.
Remember to subscribe
Now,
and click on the bell for
segment
notifications
is over.
so that you never miss when we
Before we get
upload
into
new
the
content.
second segment, I want
If you
y'all to
enjoy
go
our
to the
content here
bathroom
on
or,
Fifth
you know,
Kind TV,
whatever. Before we get into this right here, this is another interesting thing that's running concurrent with what I'm talking about in this video. Are your eyes open? Let's go. Leak Project, do your thing, bro.
Absolutely. I'm fascinated with the Statue of Liberty. And do
My
you
bad,
have your
y'all.
famous slideshow presentation for us also?
Yep, I'm just sharing screen.
Now, I just want people to know where they can find your work. So do they go still to the hiddenrecords.com?
Yes, still the same thing. That's probably the easiest.
Okay, and then you're still on YouTube.
That's next.
I'm subscribed to you on YouTube. And are you doing any other platforms right now?
You like it, hit the like button.
You know what? My Facebook is almost invisible, so that's a bit of a mystery. Yeah, but I'm trying to keep it
Go
going.
check these guys out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave links. All the links you send me, I will put in the video description box. So folks watching this will have the opportunity to see your work outside of League Project also.
You want to jump on this opportunity fast. Check this out. Collagen peptides, heirloom barley, and vitamin D3. This is a skin, hair, nail, and joint health combo. Boomer Boost. This stuff is amazing. I've been taking Boomer Boost now for a couple years. The testimonials are amazing. The products are amazing. The customer service is amazing. And for a limited time, you're going to save almost $50 on the combo. Plus, use the code REX20, get an extra 20% off your order. Go to boomerboost.com, click the link specific, use the code REX20, get the discount, and be the change you want to see.
This is where it starts. Now, the story behind Lady Liberty, many have said that she's a sun deity, and it hasn't been that much really brought forward or contested it. And,
Pay attention.
Nobody really talks about the torch-bearing side of it. So this is where we are going. Okay, I just want to mention that obviously what I'm about to show you here, it's different to my own video which I've just launched on YouTube. I want to make it a different presentation, go from different angles. You don't want two being exactly the same. So I've saved some Easter eggs for this presentation, but it must be accepted that what I'm about to show, although it looks like solid fact, let's be safe, let's just say it's a theory until scholars have had their go at it. It's just the best thing to do right now. So this is a theory of what Lady Liberty stands for. To see the shocking truth, let's see how shocking it really is. Okay, so obviously this is the basis of my work, that this hidden secret is about human origins. So let's begin. Okay, this is the problem with the Statue of Liberty to a lot of scholars, that it looks so much like Mithras.
Yeah, we opening eyes, yo.
Sun deity that was worshipped before Christianity, bull worship, sun worship, but it was to do with Mithraism, and this Mithras relief really shows a lot of detail. It looks a lot like the Lady Liberty sort of face at just the initial glance, but it's the halo effect around here. It's all about the sun halo. Okay, so my take on the whole breakdown of Lady Liberty. The crown. It's about the seven-pointed star crown. 7 rays represent a human origin situation. It represents a sun, probably a spiritual halo of a sacred teacher. So it's a lot more going on here than what people see initially through history.
Look up Prometheus.
A bringer of light, symbol of freedom. A Prometheus symbol. This is where it begins. The torch bearer starts with Prometheus, to pass on to those to save humanity. Now that's a big call, and obviously I must have a lot to show from going in that route.
I'm just stressed out. I'm trying to balance all that comes with being.
All right, what was that?
A content creator, from managing my channel, producing and editing videos, and then trying to grow my audience.
Grow your audience with two, buddy.
Can't keep up. What's
in the middle of New York? I think you call it Grand Central Station. They have the star map inside the Grand Central on the ceiling. It should look like this. This is Orion. You follow Orion's belt, you see the Taurus bull. You follow through the bullseye to get to that. And this is where my story goes off at a different angle to any other researcher. I show the Pleiades with a sun-like star and an exoplanet here. So that is the star map of all my work, but I've used the graphics that are taken from Grand Central.
Look up Pleiades.
But you know what they've done? They've turned Orion the other way around and put the bull as a mirror reflection of itself. Now in astronomy you can't do that. I mean, it's either that layout of stars aligning with Orion, then they show Orion changing his stance. He's looking in the other direction. His cult was facing the bull previously, and now it is the club that is facing. And that's impossible. In astronomy, it's either a joke or there's a secret message in here. And I think this is what it's boiling down to. I think the makers of this star map want to show a serious side of Orion. It's where the story lies. And obviously my argument is no, it's the Taurus side. But to show a mirror reflection, I think is another clue, because when you look at these first bull worshipping depictions, the bull seems to be a mirror reflection presentation. So it's not astronomically photographed, it is looking at itself in a mirror. So it's all the other way around. So the bull is backwards, so to speak, and these stars, they're not in those positions. But I think they're telling us something about New York. There's something really unique about the reflection of the bull. So let's take this further. Now the back of the bull is where the Pleiades is, but they've got this. Right there. It looks like some sort of weird kind of writing. There's the Star of the Gods, in my opinion. Okay. Remember I show it Pleiades, you follow to the direction to the left, okay? And Orion's pelt is facing Taurus. But that is what my story is all about. This exoplanet and sunlight star that I've identified in all the previous interviews that we've done, and on my 2-hour documentary, all explained. So now why are they doing this? So my opinion is that there's some kind of secret clue here, whether it's fancy writing that reads out Mithras or some clue. They put the star there and they've made this little piece on the back of the bull. Right there. I don't really get that. There's something going on here, but we'll look into that in the near future and try and make more sense of it. Mithraism starts with this Iran stone carving. It's Mithra. Now remember there's Mithra, there's Mithraeus, and there's Mitra. There's a third one. So I need to look at all 3 of them.
Interesting.
See where the sun king deity originates from. Quite interesting, on this particular relief, scholars are referring to it as a solar trinity, that there are 3 sun deities personifying 3 suns. That's a first for me, because that is very rare. My solar trinity theory I thought was alone, but scholars are referring to this one as a trinity artifact of sun bearers, sun keepers, or sun deities. And it matches the Kudurustan that we looked at in a previous interview, the 3 sun-like stars, 3 exoplanets, Pleiades. And that's the Kuduru VA3031 in the Berlin Museum. So we're going to compare it to that as well. It seems to be cosmic serpents, a cape on the back of this person. I wanted to show a little bit more with this next one. If we
real quick, is this our solar system? Are they showing our solar?
Yeah, these are sun deities, obviously in Iran, Sumer, the Akkadians, Phoenicians, they all began after this. So this is pretty early. I would say, more than 4,000 years ago, this was a big deal.
But real quick, does this line up with Orion's belt though, or does this?
No.
This would be our solar system. At the time, there's 3 stars in our solar system. No, okay.
Yeah, this is back to my star map. There's 3 sun-like stars near the Pleiades. That's really far away. If you went outside and looked with the binoculars, you can't even see them, they're so tiny. You need a good telescope, and they are registered as sun-like stars in the area of Pleiades that seem to correlate with all these star maps that are found all over the world. So they're saying each one is personified with a god. That's why we have 3. But the interesting thing is that each carry 3. So in other words, each one is associated as part of this group of personified sun-like stars. They seem to put God's likeness and soul within suns. I mean, why they do that? It really confuses the issue. The personifying stars is just the way they've done it since the get-go. So we're trying to figure out this guy here. This is the one that they call Mithra. This is now in between Mitra and Mithras. So this is one that shows the first evidence of a sun halo, and it's a really big one. So we're looking at something that started probably, I'm going to go right back to the beginning because you can see it's time to Prometheus. It's pre-12,000, 8,000 years ago, 12,800 years ago. It's got Sumer, Europe, Africa, and India have this sun god obsession, full and sun god origins, okay, and the legend of Prometheus. But then, around about 4,000 years ago, Mitra was the first one to appear. It was found in India, and it became associated with Gilgamesh of ancient Iraq and Iran. The pre-Christian era, Mitra then becomes Mithra. Now, scholars don't like trying to put the two together, but when you see the descriptions of them, they're all pretty much 10 or 15 little features that all match. I mean, there's no ways that they're different. These are an evolution of sun deities that they worshipped. And here you can see the cape definitely. He's holding what could be a sword or something else. But then Mithra becomes Mithras. This is where it was spread throughout the whole of Europe, and the Sultan worship that predated Christianity was basically mainly Mithras. Mithraism, Sol Invictus, and they called the sun souls. Okay, then it became a secret torchbearer society that evolved into many secret societies because of fear, obviously due to its heretic content. But what's so amazing here is it includes the Christ in references to these sun halos, okay, and sun gods. Now, you say that to any Christian that the halo behind the Christ is a sun crown, they get pretty annoyed. But we've got to look at it as being his Bethlehem star, the place that he said that his importance, his beginnings were tied to this Bethlehem star. What if it was another solar system that his father that he speaks of in the heavens came from? And here they showed very neatly, one big one, 2 small ones, okay? That's exactly what we have here. Big sun crown, 2 smaller ones. So they're doing it in exactly the same style in this 1471 painting that shows that, which is, in my opinion, some woman coming through a stargate.
Portals
to it. There's a whole
but that's interesting, isn't it?
Not what we've been covering today. It's in the 2-hour documentary where we take that in a whole different direction with the stargates. So what is this thing? Look at that very weird wide
lightsaber.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We can laugh at it now, but when you see what happens just now, you're going to say, okay, now we're talking about an advanced torch. This is not a flaming torch. This is an artificial illumination torch. Right. Now, this is one that's pretty interesting. I've got a theory on the word mythology. Scholars have got the definition of mythology of The study of ancient and paranormal events of nature involving and occurrences of supernatural claims that are deemed fantasy. Okay, we're going to relook at that side as well, because the fantasy side, I think there's something really happened, but yes, it got twisted and turned. It's not magic. There are super technology events of the past with beings that could fly, and they were great teachers and came down in discs that could fly, and so forth, and they put wings on it to teach flight, and wings on the people. Otherwise, you can't believe that they can fly. So that was all part of this origin of the word mythology. But here's the thing, sun and bull obsession cultures were the main part of mythology. That's where it all started. All of them were tied with sun and bull obsessions. So it was all about Mithra, and Mithras, mythology. Isn't it likely that this word even evolves from these multiple names given to teaching of the sun deity, the sun teacher, our sun star origins from another place, nothing to do with evolving in our solar system, but we colonized this solar system a very long time ago, and to show where we came from. So that's one little swing off of the word mythology. You notice how that turns out?
Ptolemy read suggestions for Grammarly Premium, a feature designed to help professionals build strong, productive
You like that? Get that.
Grammarly honestly saves me a ton of time.
I want to look at the Dendara mural inside the Dendara temple in Egypt. It's
check out the bull.
Pretty amazing, because if you look at it closely, there's something going on here on the thigh.
Yeah, we're gonna get into a lot of things on this channel.
He's smiling and he's knocking his leg back.
You see this?
Like a rib
we going,
cage, and we have this on the back.
I got y'all.
And what
Stay
I
tuned.
think is going on here is not this. The origin of the word. I had to throw that in now because this is the perfect time to throw another word. We've seen mythology. The word that you see here, Gilgamesh will shower you with cow patties from the heavens. This was an old Sumerian utterance for people that were destructive or disobedient. Now, if this story became taboo and you're not allowed to talk about the origin of the bull teachings, that it became taboo, that only elite eyes only could know the secret, they would use that word when people speak about it. So anyone heard speaking of the subject would be shouted at using the word bull, whatever. Okay, so I'm pretty amazed. This isn't my theory. This is another scholar that came up with this and says it's so likely that that's where the word originated from, and it just followed through, just evolved into where it is today. Right, we're back at our Taurus bull. Notice as well, the bull is facing, just like in the New York mural, a mirror reflection of the real Taurus. So we have this other way around if it is Taurus. But now it's that. It looks like the Waldock of Osiris fits in here. That seems to be the template. And by the way, this in the Dendara zodiac disc depiction in my recent video, I found that this was the Waldock of Osiris, who represents Orion. Now, there's an interesting thing with Orion. Obviously, you use Orion to find alignment to the Sun Star, which is that one as well. But it's showing the bull's leg. He's looking down at this bull's leg. Okay, and then it's also this weird rib cage, but I don't think it's a rib cage because you have three well spaced, and then it comes at a funny angle. This is showing to follow the leg off the back of the bull to the sun of the gods. Another sun-like star far away in Taurus, and the crescent is well explained when you have a planetary body passing in front of a sun. The moon phases do not make sickle crescents, so that cannot possibly be anything to do with a moon and a sun. It is a solar system.
What about Venus?
And nope, wouldn't fit Southern Taurus. That's the whole point. Yeah, so this has to fit in with everything. These puzzle pieces I'm putting together have got to follow suit, that everything fits, or it's a dud theory. So we have Taurus, we have a sun-like star on its back. Remember, on the back of the bull, there's the leg of the bull and the sun-like star, okay, and the two deities coming from it. There is Sirius falling through Orion, through to Taurus, but then the bull is looking back at his leg on the back of the bull. And that's, so we covered that in the previous one. The 2-hour documentary will go into great detail about the leg of the bull's stomach. We'll do a bit of it in this talk, because there's some other leg of the bull pieces of evidence we're going to show in. So what I'm showing is you either use the leg of the bull to find the position of this sun-like star, following the Pleiades constellation, like a leg. We'll show some examples of it. Or you can use Orion, following those examples, okay? So there's what it's showing. There's the stars of Taurus. There's the bullseye. There's the sun-like star, Pleiades down here, okay? And you can either follow Orion's belt to find it, or this leg of the bull shape down here. Follow the leg to find that sun-like star. But the mirror representation now makes sense. If the New York mural at Grand Central is telling a secret, it's going into Mithraism. It's associating the secret of New York with myth origins, beginnings. It's secret society beginnings with Mithraism. There's Orion's belt through the bullseye. And by the way, that legend, another legend, shooting the arrow through the bullseye, guess where it started? Probably way back here, thousands of years ago. This is the way to follow to find that. Okay, I want to mention another series that's coincidentally showing, I think, a lot of fact with fiction and human nature when there's manipulation of our reality. In other words, our powers that be are telling us something different to our real historical reality. What happened with our origins? In episode 7 of the Apple TV series Silo, the protagonist finds out some people secretly kept forbidden relics that prove their amazing origins. There's people river rafting in this great book that predates anybody's knowledge of where it came from. This is a forbidden artifact in the film. And the people that were carrying the secret forward at great cost were called the Flame Keepers. And that's quite a cool thing there. I mean, that name has been used in history. And I didn't realize it was that big, to be quite honest. And it is a myth. The Flame Keeper myth is from the Prometheus story we're about to see, where it begins.
Olympians.
The story of Prometheus is the one who brought the secret of the divine flame and sacred knowledge to humanity. He robbed it from apparently the gods and brought this information from the heavens forward. But he's doing a lot in this one painting, and there's a lot of them, and they are really secretly encoded. He's either saying shh with his hand gesture, okay, but his hand is far forward. It's not near his mouth at all. He's pointing to the heavens, and it's all about this torch. But there's more here.
So check this out. I am super stoked about this. We are pivoting, and we're going to offer you exclusive content, ad-free, uncensored, on Patreon. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I've wanted to talk about for the past few years that I haven't been able to really talk about. And now I'm going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it on Patreon. You can watch it on Patreon, and you can sign up for as little as $1. So check us out. Ad-free. You're going to...
So y'all been paying attention and everything. Listen to what he says.
I don't know what Facebook on, but once again, before we get started,
my bad again.
Peace to the gods and the goddesses who tuning in. So today, in this video, right, I want to touch on real quick about these alien races that live on this planet with us that we have been lied to about from day one. We have been completely lied to about our DNA as black people all around the board. So today in this video, I
obviously this part
on the different
is about black people
that live on planet
if
Kai,
he's talking about black
the original name of this planet, not Earth. If you haven't been keeping up with some of my videos, then I advise you to go back and watch. If you're still stuck on the third dimension and you're not in a space of enlightenment where you are trying to seek to better yourself every day as an individual, then my videos not for you. My lives aren't for you.
Damn, that's how I feel.
Drama, this live isn't for you. We don't support racism, anything on this live or any of that, but we will be stating actual facts.
Damn.
So if we stating the historical facts of black people, DNA, as well as these Caucasians and Europeans, it's going to offend you. I advise you to get off the live now. So with that being said,
what he said,
let me start with these different races that live on this planet amongst us. Okay, so a lot of us only know about the black people and the white people that live on this planet, because that's all we see. So we have been programmed since kids to believe that the only people that exist on this planet with us is us. Just us, black people, white people, or let's say humans, and then animals. When that's a complete lie. All right. So in this video, I'm just gonna give you a little quick. I'm just gonna touch real quick on who all live on this planet of Kai that we know is Earth with us. Okay. So you have your humans. All right. Your humans are your white people, your Asians, your Dravidians, your Mexicans, and your Arabs. So you have 5 different races of humanoid that live on this planet with us. All right. These are your humans. Once again, Your humans are your white, your Caucasians, your Dravidians, your Mexicans, your Asians, and your Arabs. All right, these are your human races that live on this planet. These races were created by our race or one of our brothers, Zeus. The human race is originally not from this planet. The human race originally comes from a planet called Nern, which sits too far not outside of the Plutonian galaxy. Okay, so I know that might be a hard pill to swallow, but you're gonna have to swallow this motherfucker today, all right? Because I'm here to give you the absolute real, the absolute true facts. Because to still look at things in the year 2020 as we go through these energy gateways, and we're now in the sixth dimension as a planet.
And it's 2023 right now.
We're going through a grand awakening as a people right now. All right, so it's a lot more people like myself that's putting information out there, and I advise you to dissect it. I advise you to take it in and eat it up and spit it out. All right, I'm not gonna tell you nothing
what
wrong.
He said.
So, once again, your human races that live on this planet, because there's a lot of war going on this planet, and we confused. Growing up, a lot of things didn't make sense to us. We do not know why white people are so treacherous and so violent toward blacks. We do not even know why blacks are so violent toward each other. We have no clue. All right, so I'm just here to you know, give you a couple blues clues. You feel me? Give y'all a couple blues clues today. So now that I've broken down the different human races that live on this earth, now let me talk about the gods. Okay, the god races are actually original to the planet Kai, which has been renamed Earth since after the invasion of these humans, right? But the god races are your black people, or your African Americans, or your Latinos, or you know, Haitians. I mean, anybody that's Latino outside of Mexicans, and anybody that's considered black. All right, anybody with this carbon, all right, on the epidermis of their skin, which is what makes it this pigmentation, would be considered a god. So they go for all your Africans, all your African Americans, Jamaicans, Belizeans, Haitians, and Latinos. These are the god races of this planet. Okay, I will repeat, the gods of this planet are the blacks and the Latinos, because these two races are the original people of this planet.
How you feel about that?
Okay, not being racist, I'm just kicking real historical facts. Okay, because I don't support racism at all. I'm not a racist at all. I don't agree with it. Nobody should be belittled or talked about or treated differently because of the pigmentation of their skin. So with me saying that, you have to ask yourself this: if you're African American and you're tuning in, or a Latino brother or a sister right now tuning in, even if you're a Caucasian or a human, right, tuning in, why have you been taught as a human your whole life to hate black people? Why as a human, if you're white, Asian, you know, Mexicans too, are like, all of these humans are taught and programmed as little kids to believe that they are more powerful than African Americans and the other Latinos. All right, so this programming helps the agenda. On the flip side, the god races, which are the original people of the planet, your Latinos and your blacks, they are programmed as youths in these inner school systems to believe as kids that we are lesser than, that we are oppressed, that we are a minority, when we are not the minority, we are the majority. I repeat, the Latinos and the blacks, which are the original people of this planet, are not the minority, we are the majority. Okay, so they program the god races, the original people, to believe that they are oppressed. All right, and they program the humans to believe that they are the oppressors. All right, so this sets a tone. If you're a white person growing up, Asian, or you're human, you grew up with a certain superiority complex, because you have been taught as a kid that everything that has been invented on this planet was invented by somebody with a white face. All right, this is what you call white supremacy. They even showed you as a kid in religion that Jesus was white. They paint all the historical monumental important people as white faces. So that's called white supremacy, okay? So they're subconsciously have been programming you as a black person or a Latino person to hate yourself. Because if all they ever told you about your people was that you was nothing but a slave over in Mexico, or you was nothing but a slave in Africa, and then we as Caucasians came and liberated you, all right, you grow up believing this, and that impacts your reality and what you see through the retinas of your eyes. Okay, so these humans though are not more powerful than the gods, than the original people of the planet. So now this leads me to the other species that exist on this planet. All right. Now I'm not gonna delete it, but I'm gonna need somebody to screen record it for me because I need to put this on my YouTube channel. All right. So basically these humans, all right, they are not more powerful than the original people of the planet because they were created by one of us, which was Yakub, Zeus, Prometheus, Satan. He go by about 5 different names.
You hear those names again?
You know the god races, you know the human races. Now,
mythology.
What the races that you are not familiar with are these different alien races I'm about to name that live amongst us as well on this planet. All right, so I don't even want to say alien because alien makes you think about a monster or some shit, and that's exactly how Hollywood has fooled you and fooled us into believing since kids that it's not real. All right, in reality, it's very real. Science fiction is real and reality is fake. This is a fact. Science fiction is real. Reality is fake. What you see in front of you is not real at all. Okay, what you think is going on is not real. All right, so this whole illusion of believing that everybody on this planet is one, that we are all human walking this planet, that was the trick. That's Satan's biggest trick in fooling the whole world that he didn't exist was with that lie. Okay, so I'm gonna tie a little bit of the Bible together with what I'm saying to paint this bigger picture for y'all about these different beings that live on this planet. Okay, so we know who the humans are right now, right? We know who at this point who the gods are, who the god races are, right? But we don't know who the alien races are. So let me break them down. All right, the main alien race that is on our planet that has inhibited our planet that is helping these humans control us would be the reptilians. Okay, if you're not
get into that too.
Aware of these different extraterrestrial races and species that live on the planet with us, then you need to do a lot more research and you need to do a lot more awakening within yourself, which is coming to you whether you want it or not. Because we are not the only ones in this realm and we are not the only one on this planet. Close that door.
We're going to get into a lot of things in this channel, man. I hope y'all ready. Reptilian.
We are not the only one on this realm. We are not the only one on this planet, okay? So, one of the races is the reptilian races. These species stand between 3 feet to 4 feet tall. They can go all the way up to 7 to 8 feet tall, as big as 25 feet tall. The draconian reptilian race, all right? This race is a very powerful race. It's a very powerful species. This species goes from dimension to dimension, galaxy to galaxy, conquering universes and planets. This is what the reptilians have been doing since the beginning of time. All right. They sought out our planet for resources. Okay, the reptilian race did. But originally our planet had too much energy. We were at a higher frequency. We were vibrating at the 33rd dimension. All right. Before the invasion. This is why the Freemasons like to use the number 33 a lot in Masonry, because 33 is symbolic of the dimensionary level we was on when they came to our realm. We were on the 33rd degree, the 33rd degree frequency. All right, so we was on the 33rd dimension, so to say. We dropped down from the 33rd dimension all the way down to the 3rd dimension after they invaded our planet and took over. Okay, but you have to understand that, like I say, the human race was created by the God race, which was us. But you have to ask yourself this, okay, then how could, if the gods, which is black people and Latinos, created the humans, which are your whites, your Asians, your Dravidians, and your Mexicans, how could the Caucasians take over and conquer their creator? That's probably the biggest question going through your head, right? Well, they were able to do this because they had help. Okay, and they had help from the reptilian race. The reptilians are shapeshifters, all right? All of your presidents, all of your elite families in this world, I'm talking about the black nobility, the Illuminati, the Bilderberger Group, the Rothschilds. I mean, these 13 blood families that run the entire world, right? These 13 elite, powerful families. You have to ask yourself, what makes them so elite? What makes this bloodline so royal, all right? Well, what makes these 13 bloodlines so royal is the fact that these bloodlines are not from this planet. These 13 families are reptilian, have reptilian bloodlines, which mean they are reptilians from a whole completely different planet. And this is what makes these 13 bloodlines so royal and so rare. This is also the secret that the Freemasons are hiding in Freemasonry once you hit the 33rd degree pinnacle, where they make all information available to those people within their society. Okay, so you have to know that there's 13 blood stripes on the United States American flag, right? That represents the 13 families. When they first came to set up their empire on Atlantis, when they came and set up their empire, they called their empire the United States of America. Okay, this America and this continent was originally called Atlantis. Okay, so we are Atlanteans. Any African American, any Latino, you are an Atlantean. All right. You come from God DNA. You are a God. You are a goddess, whether you like it or agree to it or believe it or not.
And that was before the Indians.
So, these reptilian races have helped the humans control the black people and the Latino people. All right.
The black Indians.
And they have done it through shape-shifting. The reptilians are shapeshifters. Okay, George Bush, Bill Clinton, Obama, all of these people are part of the reptilian family. These people are shapeshifters, all right? And if you don't know about shapeshifting, or you might maybe have seen it in a movie on TV, well, you need to realize that science fiction is reality, and reality is science fiction. Facts, all right? So let me just give you the science of shapeshifting real quick. Shapeshifting is really not hard to do, and these reptilian races have more advanced technology than a lot of us now, because we don't remember who we are or where we came from. All right, so shapeshifting is done through the neurotransmitters in your brain, or the neurochemistry in your brain. Grand Rising, Cuzzo, Tanisha Van Leer. But shapeshifting is done by your thought patterns. If you know anything about the way the brain works, and you can Google this, right? Your brain works based upon your thoughts. So your thoughts directly impact the neurochemistry in your brain. The neurochemistry in your brain is the electrical grid of your nervous system, or the way your nervous system works. So basically, when you think a thought, whatever the thought may be, it directly impacts the neurochemistry of your brain. All right, your brain begins to release secretions that it sends to the epidermis layer of your skin. This skin is actually an antenna, all right? It's full of receptors along with your hair, all right? So this skin then receives these secretions and these signals from the brain, all right? And then your skin releases chemicals into the universe around it. And what happens is these chemicals, they go out, right? And they attract chemicals that match its frequency. So once these chemicals find these other chemicals that attract its frequencies, it begins to then reshape your environment around you based upon the thoughts that you are thinking at the time. Facts. All right. For example, science has done they did an experiment, right? And they had a group of people go work out for 30 minutes. All right. And they realized that after working out for 30 minutes, they had a 30% increase in their testosterone level. Then the scientists turned around and took a group of people and had them meditate. And during their meditation, they had them focus on their workout. So they worked out and went through their entire workout in their mind while meditating. And after that, scientists looked at the research board, and they discovered that these people that had meditated and only thought about working out but didn't actually go work out, they received a 22% increase in testosterone level. And the people that actually went to work out, they received a 30% increase in testosterone level. So basically, scientists discovered that these people that actually went to work out, their bodies only received the 8% increase more than the people that didn't go to work out, but they just meditated and mentally went through their workout in their mind. So this proved to scientists that your thoughts completely control impacts the neurochemistry in your brain. So the computer was made after the hardwiring of the brain. Okay, so the brain is impacted by your thoughts. Now, what controls thoughts? Spirit and soul. Okay, so I say all this to say that this is how these reptilians are able to shapeshift, because they are aware of this knowledge, this wisdom.
We're going to get into that and more. You need to know this. You need to know this. Now, You already know where I'm going with this. I gotta plug myself in. I wrote a couple books a few years ago, and I would like you guys to check them out if you got the chance to. If you got Amazon Prime or whatever, something like that, it's gonna it's for free. And I gotta. The link is gonna be in the description. The link will be in the description. Alright, that's me. Let's get these up. Let's get these up, y'all. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. See you on the next one.